It's another Saturday when we bring you your favorite security and safety tonic on television, Security Watch Africa, only on this channel, the Africa Independent Television. And welcome to the program today. Today is going to be another exciting and informative edition. My name still remains Patrick Abambu. Welcome to the program. Today we'll be looking at, what you can call the software of solving insecurity. Of course, it's not every situation you carry arm, you go with the sledgehammer. Sometimes you look for a soft means of taking care of the situation. That will be our focus. Of course, after the report, I will bring you the topic and the guest of today. But first and foremost, I want to offer this a personal suggestion to the government of Federal Republic of Nigeria and by large the entire African continent, because I know that this program is watched across the globe and particularly in Africa, because this is Security Watch Africa. The situation that is playing currently in between Israel and Iran demand for caution, and we will advise that sovereign countries in Africa, particularly Nigeria, do not come out to take a stand yet. We should remain non-aligned, because I remember Nigeria used to be a member of the non-aligned movement, and that is what should be our guiding principle in international diplomacy for now, so that we will not create some problems that will be too difficult for us to handle. Anyway, away from, I'm sure that this suggestion will be looked into, and if found useful, should be imbibed in our policy as the days goes by. Yes, welcome to the program today. Yes, today we're going to take a report from, as usual, from the Army headquarters, as put together by Elizabeth Tanko on what the Nigerian Army leadership and other services, because it was a joint event that took place at the Memalari military cantonment in Maiduguri, Borno State. Sit back as we bring you the report by Elizabeth Tanko.
As part of boosting the morale of active and wounded soldiers, the Nigerian Army, under the leadership of Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede, hosted a joint 2025 Salah luncheon with the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar, at the Memalari Barracks in Maiduguri, Borno State, which was hosted for the troops of Northeast Joint Operation Hadinkai, had the Governor of Borno State, the Executive Council of the state, federal and state legislators in attendance. In his welcome address, the theater commander, Joint Task Force Northeast Operation Hadinkai, Major General Abdusalam Abubakar, expressed confidence that the Salah luncheon is an opportunity that will heighten the fighting spirits of the troops.
The President of the Chief of Army Staff and the Chief of Air Staff at this year's Joint Salah luncheon is a testament of our synergy, cooperation, as well as their passion and commitment to the total restoration of peace and normalcy to the Northeast Theater of Operations. For us here in the theater, we remain steadfast in our resolve to restore normalcy to the Northeast region. I am pleased to announce that our troops are highly motivated and committed to achieving the overall objectives of the mandate of the Joint Task Force Northeast Operation Hadinkai, which has remained to facilitate the restoration of normalcy in the Northeast region to enable socio-economic activities to thrive.
Major General Abubakar emphasized on how the command philosophy of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede, has encouraged them in the fight against the enemies of the country.
Suffice to note that our mandate draws inspiration and aptly aligns with the well-articulated command philosophies of our service chiefs, which has indeed encouraged us to fight for more successes as we pledge to continue to work tirelessly. I wish to also assure you, sir, that we will not be complacent to avoid a reversal of the gains already made. Rather, we shall remain focused on your new charge to be more decisive and intensify efforts to bring the insurgency in the Northeast to an end in the shortest possible time.
Speaking at the luncheon, the special guest of honor, the Executive Governor of Borno State, Professor Babangana Umar Zulum, commended the troops for their commitment in the ongoing fight against insurgency in the region, while commiserating with the armed forces of Nigeria over the loss of personnel in recent attacks, particularly those wounded in action. Governor Zulum presented a check of 100 million naira to the theater commander of Operation Hadinkai to be shared to soldiers wounded in action and family members of soldiers killed. The luncheon featured dance, music performances, and dishing out of food. Elizabeth Fanko reporting for Security Watch Africa.
Welcome back. Yes, actions like this motivate the troops to fight, knowing that your leadership are available to help to provide some succor, even though for those who died, no amount of money, no sympathy can bring back the dead, but showing some bit of sympathy and support can help to encourage others. Yes, to our topic today. Today is the topic is the use of non-kinetic operations in the fight against insecurity, particularly in Nigeria. Our guest is a very special guest indeed, I would say, because he's a man that is so passionate about the Nigeria project, making Nigeria safer. I'm talking about Rear Admiral Olusoya Bankole. It's a pleasure to have you. And he is the Chief of Civil Military Relations at the Defense Headquarters. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Patrick. First of all, let me, on behalf of my principal, General Christopher Gwabi Musa, the CDS, thank you for the duties you do for sensitizing people on security all across Africa. Security is a general business. I want to thank you on behalf of the CDS, and it's my pleasure to be here. Thank you, viewers, for having us here.
Yeah, I know that the CDS is so passionate about passing information, right information to Nigerians, because according to him, this is a job they have signed to do. They have signed to do, and that they must do. And he's a man who is ready to provide all relevant information to the public. Yes, you are the Chief of Civil Military Relations. To some of us, we know that that is the non-kinetic operations of the Defense Headquarters, talking about all these services. Tell us a bit of what civil military relations is about.
Okay, thank you, Patrick. Civil military relations is actually basically the relationship between the civilians and the military. It's based on three strata. First of all, it's civilian oversight of the military. That's why the National Assembly oversights military. That's why the Chief of Defense Staff operationally is responsible to the President and Commander-in-Chief. Administratively is responsible to the Minister of Defense. So that is the first strata, civilian oversight of military functions. The second strata is what we call civil military cooperation or civil military relations, where the military aids the civilians to help them in such a way that they can do their work. That's why we do quick impact projects, because you will know that the civilian populace is the major source of intelligence to the military. Unfortunately, in the last 15, 16 years thereabout, we have been fighting an uncommon insurgency warfare, an unconventional warfare. So the civilians themselves, and this warfare is fought in majorly civilian populated areas. So the civilians are critical to the military winning the war, because it's the civilians that know the terrain, they know their people, they know their tactics. So in such a way that the military needs to make the place conducive for them to be able to win and fight, and also earn the respect of the civilians. That is the second part of civil military relations. The third part is what they call aid to civil authority, aid to civil power. As enshrined in the Constitution, the military helps, under the directive of the presidency, the military helps civil authority in terms of disaster relief, if there's disaster, in terms of, even during elections, the Air Force is mandated to move electionary materials by air, the Navy moves by sea, the Army protects. So that kind of thing, that's intervention of the military by the directive of the president to help aid some particular things, either during disasters. For example, in 2023 in Bielsa, during the flood, the Navy was deployed en masse to move people. The same thing happened in Maiduguri in 2024, while the only way they could move was through the army because they had the equipment to move. So civil-military relations basically is relations between the military and the civil population. We acknowledge also that the military is from the civil population. And the one mistake we make is we say it's we and them. After I'm wearing this khaki now, I don't know when, I'll go back to my village, I become a civilian.
Yeah.
So it's not a we and them. It is the patriotic duty of every country, every citizen, as a means of patriotism to be patriotic to even the military and to every government institution. So basically that is what civil-military relations is. What is relation between the civil and the population? I can also further break it down. Military, there's a population, and there's governance, the government itself. How do these three interface to make sure there is peace in the country, to make sure that there is, because without peace, there can't be development.
Of course.
So civil-military relations is key because it is, right now, unfortunately, we are fighting within a densely populated civilian area. The military is recruited from the civilian sector. We are recruited from Nigeria. I wasn't recruited from somewhere else. We are from a place in Nigeria. So the relationship between the military and civilian is key. Unfortunately, again, I'll say, because of what has happened probably between 1967 and 70 during the Civil War, there was a need to fight, which was unnecessary in the first place, but it had happened.
Very.
Then after that, there were a lot of incursions of coups and everything. So the military has remained as a force, you understand? So, and because of that, it has ended a lot of distrust with the civilian class.
Just on Gulf.
Yes, there's a Gulf now. But right now, even the role of the CDS now, what it's trying to do is to try and limit that Gulf. That is why the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Ogbabi Musa, from the onset, he made a command philosophy that one is going to train a professional military. Two, they were going to be people-centric. Three, it was going to collaborate with other agencies and also have regional collaboration. Those four aspects, that's what it's doing. The idea is to bridge the gap between the military and the population, the military and our rulers, which is governance. That is what civil-military relations is all about.
Okay, I know that the slogan is to win the hearts and minds of the people, and that help. And like you pointed out, for instance, those who do not know will know better now. But let's look at it. The military will know them to be strong. How then do you expect them to start mingling with the civilians, relating with the civilians? Won't that affect their work, their core mandate?
Now, the military is meant to be strong. That is why it is a force. But it is meant to be strong to protect your civilians, to protect civilian infrastructure, to protect civilian livelihood, to protect civilians. The military shows force to people that do not want the integrity of this country to be won. That's why you have to, I don't want to use the word eliminate, but you need to neutralize some people. You need to neutralize some people who are probably who are terrorists in any forms, either through commercial, or probably they are looking for territorial ambitions, or they want to just harvest some of our God-given fruits, or do kidnapping and everything. But as far as I'm concerned, they are terrorists, which they are rightly classified now because they are actually terrorizing the people of Nigeria. So the military shows strength. There's a need for because the military is an agency of government. It shows the sovereignty of a country. So that's why there's a need for us to be strong. But at the same time, there's no war you are going to fight that you still have to come back and tidy it, the dialogue. And that's why the CDS always emphasizes. He always mentions it. It's a whole of governance approach. All through from the presidency to the state, to the local government, to the communities. If you carry out a data or you carry out a census where there's so much terrorism and banditry, a low-reached area where there's probably lack of governance. So if there's proper governance across the spread.
Yeah.
So even if it is in local government, maybe a magistrate court or a local police station, or there is presence of governance, the people will know that, yes, there is a governance here.
yes.
So it is not an ungoverned
Yeah,
space.
there's a civil authority.
Yes, there's a civil authority who they can run to, who they can trust. And that is why some of these bandits, because in most of these places there is lack or low governance.
Right.
So when they see somebody comes, they say that, okay, I'm going to protect you, pay this tax or whatever, they hold allegiance to that person. But the truth is that any terrorist that you are allegiance to today is going to kill you tomorrow.
Of course, definitely.
Is going to terrorize you tomorrow. And that is why also the CDS there is a team we're actually going around. Education is key to sensitize people. That these bandits, terrorists you're calling, they are commercial terrorists. They just want to take from you
Milk,
and
yeah.
probably kill you. Some of them want your territories. Some of them are earning by killing and kidnapping your people. So we have a team, we are sensitizing people. We were in Ikorodu, we were in Sokoto, we were in Enugu. Yesterday we were in Makurdi.
Yes.
And you can imagine, CDS sent me to Makurdi.
I was going to come to that, but go ahead since you have brought it to.
And I was in an ID camp, 2 kilometers, about 20 kilometers from the toll gate, and they have over 12,700 IDPs in Nigeria.
Yeah, in a location.
In a location. So when you look at all of these things, that's why the CDF, it is a whole of government approach. The military is doing so much, but there's just a little the military can do. The local governments have to do some things. The state governments need to take care of their people. They need to love their people. You understand? Community leadership, the religious people, they need to sensitize their people. So actually in all this equation, all this insecurity, is the people that is key.
Yeah.
Is the man, the woman, the child, maybe that is key. And that is why the CDS always preaches that let us sensitize these people. Let the military know. We neutralize the bad ones. We don't have any choice. You neutralize it. If you can't repent, they call them repentant or whatever. Even that repentant now, we are profiling them because we just find out that some of them, they say they are repentant. They get to our camps, they are still giving information to the bad guys.
Of course.
So they are seriously profiling them. But we need to sensitize the people. So the people is key, education is key, good governance is key,
It's the most
rule
important.
of law
Yeah,
is key.
very important. Yeah, viewers, if you are joining us, this is your program, Security Watch Africa. Today we are having the Chief of Civil Military Relations of the Defense Headquarters, Rear Admiral Olusoya Bankole. It's a pleasure to have you. We're continuing this discussion. Now, let's look at the real operations which you do. I know, for instance, because I have been part of this, so I understand, but for the benefit of our viewers who do not, in what forms do you now reach out to the people? Because now we want to be interested in the people. I know that there are some communities that do not have source of medical supplies and all that, even logistics, roads, bridges. Tell me, in what way has the armed forces been able to support the people?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Patrick. And I will also still repeat this word. Unfortunately, the military operates in like 70% of Nigerian territory. In the one kind of operation, about between 68 and 70%.
Yeah.
So the military have found themselves operating in terrains that they need to learn about, need to meet people. So while we are there, we discovered there are some terrains that don't have water. Some don't have, they've never seen electricity in their life. Some don't, there are no roads linking to them. So across the board, the military does bridges, we do boreholes, we do solar lightings, still within the military.
But utterly, this is not supposed to be your responsibility. I know that will be, but you just...
But you see, when you are given a mission,
yes,
whatever you need to deliver on that mission, you are given an objective. The Commander-in-Chief says to the CDS, which disseminates to all the service chiefs, secure these people.
yes.
Now, we want to secure people that are not really educated. How do you communicate to them?
Beautiful.
They have children. Maybe somebody has 8 children that are unschooled. Now, the danger in that 8 children that are not unschooled is that is the future Boko Haram. They're even going to be worse than this Boko Haram because they don't have any education. That's why the military now looks at it. In front of civil-military cooperation relations, we try to build schools.
Yeah, schools provide education.
We provide a semblance of education. We provide water. We provide electricity. I will also give you an example. Like, no matter, technology is good, but no matter how much technology, if somebody says, maybe a parent tells an 11-year-old boy, and he's radicalized, and he said, if you kill 2 soldiers, and they kill you, you go to heaven, you meet 40 virgins. That is the kind
wrong.
of,
yeah, mentality.
which is wrong.
Yeah.
So right now, there's a need for you to de-radicalize that person. So apart from kinetic operations, which is necessary right now because of what is happening down from the Sahel, there's a need for kinetic operations to weed out a lot of people that don't mean us well. And the CDS has emphasized that because of our porous borders, a lot of people infringe into. So we need kinetic operations for that. But these people are operating a community, so we need non-kinetic operations to sensitize those communities on the difference between good and bad.
So you're providing some of all these things for them.
So as I was saying, a 6-year-old girl or an 11-year-old boy, they say you should kill somebody, or maybe somebody, a 6-year-old girl, is trapped with IEDs. She doesn't know what an IED is. Her parents may not know what an IED is. Now, if the military will ask, okay, do you kill this girl because she's ignorant? But if you don't also kill her, maybe she may destroy a whole battalion. So that is where the balance is. The military is doing a lot, even to the grassroots now. Doing a lot. Apart from kinetic, they are doing a lot of, call them quick impact projects. I also know across the services, I know the Army started it, the Navy is doing it now, and probably the Air Force is doing it. There's a particular rank you reach in the military, but the military funds you to do a project.
For your people.
For your people. I don't want to call it a constituency project. Well, constituencies we are not politicians.
Well, yeah, exactly.
But the military funds you to do a project for your people. Maybe you could do classrooms. You could do a bowl. Some people are doing medical facilities.
Yeah.
The main point is this. We want to know that the military is friendly to you. And secondly, when I remove the uniform, I go back to my community. I say, Oga Bankole built this classroom. Even after I die, they'll say, this was done by this. So those are the things the military is trying to go out of their way to, that's what they call winning the hearts and minds. So we're trying to win the hearts and minds of our people. But it's also important for there to be governance across board.
Yeah, in fact, the governance, we cannot emphasize that because it's lack of governance that have created this problem we're talking about now. And it's been by successful governments, not just now, not just the immediate past, continuously from beginning. Because there are many communities who try to access, it's only through the help of the military we could reach there. But let me come because I know that they will be asking us to leave very soon, but let's come to what effect are all these things now that the military is doing?
Okay, I will answer that with a story. The Air Force in Maiduguri, there was an IDP camp that a woman had delivered co-joint twins. Yeah. Co-joint twins in the IDP camp. So the Air Force had to fly her and the twins to Yobe. They flew them to Yobe. There was a successful surgery to separate those twins at no cost to the family. It was borne by the military. Flew them back to their communities back. There are times the military had to fly water, drinking water, to impact on communities. There are a lot of things. There's a woman that I think she was 67. She had cataract. So the military conducted a medical outreach. And they had to do surgery for her. So when her son that was in Boko Haram told her that they needed to kill the military, she said, no, it's these same people that saved me. It's the same people that make my make me to have my sight back. So the impact of this Quick Impact project will actually transcend even the generations. For example, you build a school now, whether the school still remains to educate people. So that is why the military is focused on doing this Quick Impact projects and as a kind of CIMIC project to win the hearts and minds of the people. And it is also important for us to, as Nigerians, to love our military. Not only the military, love every organ of Nigeria. Sometimes it may be difficult, but things are changing now. There's a kind of semblance of governance, even to the grassroots. So please, it's important that we love the military, we love every organ of governance, because the idea is, if there is no peace, there won't be development. So the military is not supposed to be doing all these developmental projects, but we are doing them because we need to achieve the aim of keeping peace in Nigeria.
Almost thank you so much, sir, for being on the program today. We will ask you to send our love back to the entire military, the armed forces, and particularly the Chief of Defense Staff. That communication and Security Watch Africa, we're happy with what he's doing, and we want him to do more because we need security in the country. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for
Of course,
having me.
we need to have a more packaged episode to have. Let us see, our viewers would like to see some of all these things you are doing, and let them see to believe that, yes, indeed, they are doing it.
They are doing a lot, but thank you for having us.
All right.
Thank you.
Viewers, I know you are beginning to enjoy the discussion. I will continue with this someday, very soon. I'm sure that he will come there willing to provide some information. But until then, I will always indulge you to continue watching the program every Saturday, where we'll continue to give you that information you need to keep your life safe and secured. Before then, follow us on all our social media platforms. Watch this edition and previous editions on YouTube, and follow us on our social media, particularly on X, so that you can send us what you need to know, and we'll answer and respond back to you. Until next week, when we'll come your way again next week, I say thanks for staying tuned, and bye for now.